Once upon a time, in a quiet village nestled between rolling hills and fertile plains, there lived a farmer named Jacob. He was a hard-working man, toiling day and night in his fields, sowing seeds, and nurturing his crops with great care. But every year, without fail, something would go wrong. One year, it would be relentless rains that flooded his fields. The next, it would be a scorching drought that parched the earth. Sometimes, swarms of mosquitoes would descend upon the village, spreading disease, or flocks of birds would feast on his grains. Each time, Jacob's harvest would suffer, leaving him frustrated and disheartened. One particularly bad year, after a hailstorm destroyed his crops, Jacob could no longer contain his anger. He stood in the middle of his ruined field, shaking his fist at the sky, and shouted, "God, you don't know anything about farming. Every year you send something, too much rain, too much sun, pests or storms, and ruin my hard work. If you knew anything about farming, you'd understand that crops need balance, not chaos. Give me your power, and I'll show you how it's done. I'll do a better job than you ever could." To his surprise, the sky darkened, and a deep, resonant voice echoed from above. "Very well, Jacob. I will grant you the power to control the elements and the forces of nature. For 1 year, you will have complete authority over the weather, the pests, and the conditions of your fields. Let us see if you can do better." Jacob's heart swelled with pride. Finally, he would have the chance to prove himself. He began his work with meticulous precision. He commanded the skies to bring just the right amount of rain, no more, no less. He banished the mosquitoes and the birds, ensuring they would not harm his crops. He kept the winds gentle and the storms at bay. The sun shone warmly but not too harshly, and the soil remained perfectly moist. Everything was in perfect harmony. As the months passed, Jacob's fields flourished like never before. The crops grew tall and green, swaying gracefully in the breeze. Villagers marveled at the sight, calling it the most beautiful field they had ever seen. Jacob, filled with arrogance, would often stand at the edge of his field, looking up at the sky and saying, "See, God? This is how it's done. No storms, no pests, no problems. Just perfect crops. I told you I could do better." When the time came to harvest, Jacob was brimming with confidence. He gathered the villagers to witness his triumph. But as they began to cut the crops, they discovered something shocking. The fields, though lush and green, bore no grains. The stalks were empty. There was no wheat, no rice, no fruit, just hollow plants. Jacob's heart sank as he realized his mistake. At that moment, the voice of God echoed once more. "Jacob, do you understand now? The storms, the winds, the pests, and even the birds, they are not just obstacles. They are part of the balance of nature. The winds pollinate the plants, the storms bring nutrients to the soil, and the birds and insects play their roles in the cycle of life. Without these challenges, the crops cannot grow strong. Without adversity, there can be no growth." Jacob fell to his knees, humbled and ashamed. "I was wrong," he whispered. "I thought I could control everything, but I didn't understand the bigger picture. I see now that the struggles you send are not to harm us, but to help us grow." God's voice softened. "Remember this lesson, Jacob. Life is like a field. The challenges you face are not meant to break you, but to strengthen you. Without storms, you cannot appreciate the sunshine. Without hardship, you cannot grow. It is the rule of nature. Those who face adversity with courage and perseverance will flourish." From that day forward, Jacob worked his fields with a new perspective. He no longer cursed the storms or the pests, but accepted them as part of the journey. And year after year, his harvests grew richer, not just in grain, but in wisdom. The villagers, too, learned from Jacob's experience. They understood that life's challenges were not obstacles to be feared, but opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. And so, the village prospered, not because life was easy, but because they had learned to embrace the storms and grow through them. And thus, this story of Jacob Farmer became a timeless lesson for all of us, that the hurdles we face are not there to stop us, but to shape us, and it is through overcoming them that we truly flourish. If we curse all the hurdles or difficulties we face in life, we will never move ahead in life. A child fell hundreds of times before he actually starts to walk. So in the end, we finish this story with being positive attitude towards life. Embrace everything God has given us in this life. Thanks for staying till the end. Goodbye.